Will Kendre Miller make the Week 1 roster for the New Orleans Saints? We're going to discuss that right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Huda Nation? Welcome back inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rizvoglu, and as always, we're brought to you by Scott Vicknair Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, hurt offshore, Scott Vicknair handles it all. You give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. So Kendre Miller, from a talent standpoint, there is a lot to like about this player from TCU entering his second year. Here's the problem. We don't get to see him. We simply don't get to see him in action because Kendre Miller has already missed ample time due to injury. And this year, his offseason's pretty much been hampered by a hamstring injury. And you don't get really a lot of updates on him, which is frustrating. All we know is that he's not available. And Dennis Allen has made it very clear that he's not pleased with what's going on behind the scenes because, as he said before, it's hard to really make an impact and show what you can do when most of the time you're in the training room. And that has been the case for Kendre Miller. So that made me bring this question to you guys on Twitter, and it also helps us with our tweet of the week, which is, should Kendre Miller make the roster for the 2024 season? And as always, guys, our tweet of the week is presented by Standard Mortgage, your local lender for life. To get in touch with a home loan expert today, give them a call at 504-569-3902. Once again, Standard Mortgage, 504-569-3902. Should Kendre Miller make the roster for the 2024 season? I'm trying to see where Saints fans are at on this subject. That's what I put out on Twitter. The results were quite interesting. I only put up the poll for 4 hours. And in 4 hours, this is what we had. We had yes, 61%, no, he shouldn't make the roster, 39%. And that was out of just under 1,500 votes, 1,485 votes to be exact. If you guys need the real number, there it is. So I think it's interesting. I get where Saints fans can be frustrated, right? Because we want to see what Kendre Miller could bring to the table. We want to see if he could give that backfield some excitement, some juice, because, man, this offense needs it. What I will say, though, is the Saints are not in a position to just cut a guy like Kendre Miller. You put him on IR if he needs more time, and hopefully after 4 weeks, he's ready to return. But you do not cut a guy like Kendre Miller when your offense does not have enough playmakers. And at least for right now, the Saints should be patient. Because like I said, who are you cutting Kendre Miller for? If you're cutting Kendre Miller, it better be to make sure that there's a damn good player that needs to make the 53-man roster. And I don't think the Saints have enough depth right now, especially at running back, to say, oh yeah, they can just get rid of Kendre Miller. Because they just don't. I know Alvin's good. I know the Saints are committed to Jamal Williams and his contract for at least one more season. But outside of that, do you really feel like Kendre Miller is not better than Jordan Mims from a talent standpoint? Do you really feel like the Saints value James Robinson over Kendre Miller? I don't know I can say that. And even if I did, I wouldn't be saying with a lot of conviction. So if I'm the New Orleans Saints, yes, this has to be frustrating. But IR is there for a reason. And you can put Kendre Miller on injured reserve to start the season and give him time. And when he comes back, hopefully he could stay healthy. And Lord knows that that's just us hoping and wishing on a prayer there. But you got to take that chance because you are not at a position where you can just get rid of a really talented offensive player and say, it's okay, we have other horses in the stable, because you don't. I think Alvin will be really good for the Saints. I really expect him to have a nice bounce back year. I know Chris Olave is a playmaker. If Rashid Shaheed's healthy, I know he's going to make plays. Obviously, I'll vouch for Taysom Hill every day of the week. I think the guy is a stud. And Juwan Johnson, yes, he's not what we wanted him to be, but I still think he'll make enough plays in the passing game for the Saints. But outside of those guys, who is going to give this offense some juice, some pop? I think Kendre Miller theoretically can do that. And I'm tired of saying it's theoretical. I totally get that. And clearly 39% of you guys are tired of saying theoretical, which is why you voted for the Saints not keeping him on the roster. But the way I view it, if you just ask me today, in a vacuum, should the Saints keep Kendre Miller on the roster? Yes. They are not talented enough to let a former day 2 pick who really does have good potential to just be an explosive back for this team, just let him go to the wayside. Now, I will say, if we get into next year and we have the same problem where he's never healthy, cut bait. I couldn't give two shits. But right now, year 2, still early in his career, I would keep Kendre Miller and take my chances that this guy can get healthy because they need to be a really good run team. And we saw last Sunday against the 49ers in the preseason, if Kubiak wants, that will be his offense's MO. And you can't have that as your identity if you don't have enough depth. And if Kendre could be in this offense, and again, I have to go off ifs because this guy is never healthy, maybe he can give the Saints a lift. So for that reason alone, they got to take the chance and hope that Kendre Miller gets healthy. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's not like the Saints would be keeping Kendre Miller at the cost of a really good player. They're just not that deep enough for me to make a statement like that. So I believe the Saints should keep Kendre Miller for at least 1 year and see how this thing goes. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. You've already voted, but let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about Kendre Miller's roster status. Do you think he should be on the roster? Do you want them to get rid of him? Let me know, and I'll get back to you in the comments section. But as always, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the Who Dat Nation.